We, at the Office of Public Education, we produce a number of publications, including a quarterly newsletter, as well as this classroom and study guide for teachers and others that are interested in sharing this information with their classes, as well as people that are just interested in, again, finding this piece of missing New York history.
Now, if someone wanted to get on your mailing list, because I know I'm on your mailing list for years, how could they get a copy of the update?
Okay, yes, this is the update. They simply should call us. We are at 212-432-5707 in Manhattan. We also come out to classes and give slide presentations on the burial ground and its history of the African presence in New York.
And you will come to Westchester?
Oh, we do come to Westchester. Okay. We come basically to New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, though Dr. Blakey and I have been pretty much all over the country. Dr. Blakey, the scientific director of the project, in fact, was as recently as a couple of days ago in Geneva presenting to a United Nations Commission on human rights violations, because they're looking into the notion of the African burial ground being a site of international significance, not simply a national historic landmark, which is an honor, but in certain ways it's a small thing because it doesn't focus on the fact that the African enslavement was largely a global phenomenon. It certainly was not limited to New York or North America or South America for that matter. So that in looking back at the history of these, what we call the African ancestors in New York, they are certainly a part of a much larger story. You asked about our mission. Our mission is really to try and restore dignity to these African people who were largely enslaved here, living in New York. We found among the recent scientific findings that as many as 1/3 of these Africans were people who were born on the African continent and then shipped to New York. And we've all seen the horrendous images of the transatlantic slave trade and how Africans were packed so tightly on ships to be brought here. But their children, it seems, had an even more difficult life here in North America, particularly in New York, and that's one of the reasons that we believe that the infant and child mortality rate among them is so high. I mean, in addition to dying from the epidemics that were quite common in early New York, particularly Manhattan, and we're talking smallpox, malaria, yellow fever, children, you have to remember, in the 17th, 18th, and even 19th century, died from measles, mumps, chickenpox, things that we're immune against today.
So this involvement on an international level will have implications for the future on all history texts, not just the texts here.
The local history, absolutely, because again, we're looking at something of international significance. Many people like to forget that there was slavery altogether. And certainly, again, people are astounded. I mean, I haven't been any place yet where people were not astounded that there was such extensive slavery, enslavement of Africans in the North.
I see. Who were the principal researchers with the